Good day, everyone, especially to you, Dr. Rhea Kiber. My name is Jeah Rojo, and today we're going to talk about the Chapter 5 Law on Sales, Agency, and Credit Transactions.
So, before anything else, I will be providing to you the topic outline and objectives of this lesson. So, for the topic outline, first is the introduction to sales, agency, and credit transactions. Next to it is the contracts of sale, legal requirements for a valid sale, obligations of the parties in a contract of sale, warranties in a contract of sale, special cases and legal applications, agency and sales transactions, credit transactions, and legal dispute resolution in sales and credit transactions. And the objectives for this lesson is to understand the fundamental principles of sales, agency, and credit transactions, to analyze the essential elements of a valid contract of sale, to differentiate between absolute and conditional sales, to examine the legal rights and obligations of buyers and sellers, to identify the types of warranties in sale transactions and their legal implications, also to apply legal principles in real-life sales disputes and agency transactions, to explore the legal framework surrounding credit transactions and debt collection, to discuss remedies available for breach of sales and credit agreements, and lastly, to develop practical knowledge in resolving disputes in business transactions.
And before anything else, I will be providing to you an introductory case study for this chapter. So I'll be giving you a background of the case study of the case of ballroom dancing on credit. So a social civic club in Batangas embarked on a fundraising project, ballroom dancing in a prominent hotel in the province, charging 1,000 peso per plate. They commissioned Miss Eloisa Chua, a reputable event organizer, to fix everything on behalf of the club. The club members will pay their tickets to Miss Chua's company, which in turn will settle all obligations to the hotel, the band, and audio technicians. The minimum guaranteed number of persons to attend is 300, as stipulated in the banquet agreement signed by Miss Chua and the hotel sales manager Miss Becky So. On the day of the event, the Agoncillo tent of the hotel collapsed due to strong winds, and the hotel did not have any alternative venue. Miss So, at the last minute, arranged a transfer of the venue to another hotel, which is 200 meters away from the original venue. Miss Chua was flabbergasted because it was a far cry from the original plan. There was no other better venue that they can think of. The event pushed through, but many of the 500 guests were disappointed with the substandard food and venue. Miss Chua paid only 75,000 to the hotel. The balance of 225,000 was unpaid. This was reflected in the books of the hotel as long outstanding accounts receivable for over 12 months. So for this one, we'll be having the questions of where are the remedies of the hotel. Next, can Miss Chua be forced to pay the full amount despite the substandard service and change of venue? What is the best solution to amicably settle the dispute of both parties? What are the possible consequences of this solution? So for this one, we're gonna go ahead and talk on further for legal aspect on this. It is important to acquire knowledge on the different provisions involving sales, agency, and credit transactions. So the law governing this chapter is the Civil Code of the Philippines, Article 1458. By the contract of sale, one of the contracting parties obligates himself to transfer ownership of and to deliver a determinate thing, and other to pay therefore a price certain in money or its equivalent. A contract of sale may be absolute or conditional. So I will be providing to you the characteristics of a contract of sale. First, a contract of sale is consensual. A contract of sale is perfected by mere consent. No form is prescribed for the perfection in a contract of sale except in the following instances. First, those covered under the statute of frauds which must appear in writing, otherwise the sale is considered unenforceable. like sale of real property or any interest therein, and sale of chattels or goods for a price not less than 500 pesos. B. Or next, sale of real property made through an agent, in which case the agent's authority must be in writing. Otherwise, the agency and sale made through an agent is void. Next, a contract of sale is bilateral because it gives rise to reciprocal obligations. Also, a contract of sale is principal because it can stand by itself without need of another contract. Also, a contract of sale is onerous because the consideration of each party is the delivery of the thing or the payment of the price. Next is a contract of sale is commutative because what the vendor or seller delivers is considered equivalent of the price paid by the vendee or buyer. Next is nominate because it has a designated name under the Civil Code of the Philippines, which is sale. Lastly, transmissive of ownership because the vendor transfers ownership of the subject matter to the vendee. So for that, I'll be providing to you another case study on this. So, a background, on January 4, 1979, Ronald Coloma sold his hotel in favor of spouses Leo and Vanessa Uy. A deed of sale was executed, but spouses Uy named Johnny Uy, their unborn son, as the buyer in the contract of sale. Accordingly, Johnny Uy was named as the buyer in the deed of sale by virtue of a Chinese custom, naming children as their heir of their parents' properties. It was only on March 1, 1980 that Johnny Uy was born. Is the contract of sale valid? So if we seek legal opinion, it was held that the contract of sale is void for being simulated and fictitious. Because Johnny Uy was not even conceived yet at the time of the alleged sale, hence had no legal personality to be named as a buyer in the said deed of sale. Neither could he have given his consent thereto. The contract of sale is perfected at the moment there is a meeting of the minds upon the thing, which is the object of the contract, and upon the price. Consent is manifested by the meeting of the offer and the acceptance upon the thing and the cause which are to constitute the contract. Unemancipated minors, insane or demented persons, and deaf mutes who do not know how to read and write cannot validly give consent to contracts. In the instant case, Johnny Uy could not have validly given his consent to the contract of sale, as he was not even conceived yet at the time of its alleged perfection. Therefore, for lack of consent of one of the contracting parties, the deed of sale is null and void. So with this one, we do have 3 parts on it for this case study, which is very important and should be highlighted on this. First is the consent. It is manifested as a meeting or the offer which must be certain and the acceptance which must be absolute upon the thing and the cause which are to constitute the contract. So there must be consent first before doing the deed of sale with the agent and the buyer so that it can be clarified first if it is valid or not. Second, object or subject matter. The requisites are as follows and must be existing or possible, in which the child wasn't conceived yet. Second is it must be licit, and lastly, it must be determinate. In a contract of sale, the thing and the price are the subject matter. The price must be understood to be in money or its equivalent. And lastly, cause or consideration. It represents the why of the contracts, the essential reason which moves the contracting parties to enter into the contract. For the seller, the consideration is the price certain in money or its equivalent. But for the buyer, the consideration is the thing and a contract of sale. So before that, it should be communicated well, verified, and confirmed if it will be okay or not before doing anything, especially in a deed of sale. Because even if that is your tradition, it must be verified first because we need to follow the rules of the law. So next, warranty in case of eviction. A warranty in case of eviction is an implied warranty in contracts of sale, by virtue of which, if the vendee is deprived of the whole or part of the thing purchased by final judgment, based on a right prior to the sale, or an act imputable to the vendor. Such vendor shall answer for the eviction even though nothing has been said in the contract on the subject. The requisites of eviction are: vendee is deprived of the thing purchased wholly or partially. The deprivation is by final judgment. Deprivation is based on a right prior to the sale or an act imputable to the vendor. And lastly, vendor was summoned in the suit for eviction at the instance of the vendee. So liability for eviction includes return of the value at the time of eviction, return of income or fruits that the buyer had to surrender, cost of the suit, expenses of the contract, and damages in case the vendor acted in bad faith. So it is very important to know the rules and laws so that you won't be getting into trouble. Next, warranty against hidden defects or redhibitory. A defect is considered redhibitory if it is hidden, unknown to the buyer, existing prior to the sale at least in origin, and which renders the thing unfit for the use intended. The vendee may elect between withdrawing from the contract, action redhibitoria, and demanding a proportionate reduction of the price or action quanti minoris, with damages in either case. Generally, the period of prescription is 6 months. However, in redhibitory actions against the faults or defects of animals, the period is 40 days. The period must be counted from the date of delivery to the vendee. So to sum it all up, the law on sales, agency, and credit transactions is important because it helps regulate and protect business and financial dealings. So for law on sales, this ensures that buyers and sellers have clear rules when making transactions. It protects both parties from fraud, unfair pricing, and defective products. And for law on agency, this covers situations where one person, the agent, acts on behalf of another or the principal. It helps businesses operate smoothly by setting rules on responsibilities and liabilities. And on law on credit transactions, this governs loans, mortgages, and other financial agreements. It ensures fair lending practices and protects both borrowers and lenders from abusive terms or fraud. In short, these laws make business and financial transactions fair, secure, and efficient for everyone involved. And that would be all for my report. I hope you have learned something, and thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.